Hello everybody, Steve Griffiths here, developer of the MTPredictor software program. In today's MTPredictor video, I'd like to look at a chart of crude oil. This is a front month contract on 24/7 session times. So if we have a look at this, let's see if there are any setups on a slightly longer time frame for crude. So for this, I'll be using the 1 hour chart for the higher time frame, and then I'll be coming down to the 15-minute chart for the actual setups. For those of you who are new to MTPredictor, you'll know that we don't just trade all the setups blindly. We don't do this because we know and understand that basically half the time markets are in a random position. In other words, there's no clear, clean picture. So how do we decide when the picture's clear? Well, for this we go to the higher time frame. So in this example, the 1 hour chart is the higher time frame. So I just want to use our training mode, and I just want to go back to here somewhere. So to place the DPs on the chart, you select a previous pivot. We teach which ones to choose in our training webinars. So in this case, this is the last major pivot on the chart here. You can see it's fairly obvious, a major high. So I right mouse click, I do decision point. Can you see how that's now on the chart in advance? It's there before the market gets there. So if I turn training mode off, can you see what happened? The market went up into this level here, do you see that? And made a high at that level. So when that happens, we deem that the market picture is becoming clear because the market is making a reversal at a projected level that we anticipate. In other words, it's doing what we anticipate. In other words, the picture is becoming clear. So now that's when you come down to the shorter time frame. So in this case, we look at this, and we can see that there's the reversal at the higher time frame. That's our hourly DP resistance level. We now deem that the larger degree trend is now down off that higher degree resistance. Therefore, we'd be looking for short setups. As the market comes down, it makes an initial decline down, then makes an initial correction up into our W3 or wave 3 trade setup. Our MTP trend is agreeing with the larger degree trend by going from blue for up to be black for in the process of making a reversal, in other words, trend neutral. So this would be a good trade setup to consider because it's in the direction of the new large degree downtrend. We like our W3 wave 3 trade setups because a W3 trade setup is designed to catch the wave 3, which is usually the strongest and longest and completed 5-wave sequence. So if I right mouse click over the red cell bar here, do analysis, this then gets you in with correct position sizing and then projects a target at the typical wave 3 WPT. The result of this was the market went down and actually hit that target there where a profit of just over 13.5 or almost 14 times the initial risk was available. So you can see that's a good trade setup. But let's see how that fits in the picture of the Elliott wave pattern, because if I just clear that lot off and if I put the major pivots on here, just going to make them a little bit bolder so you can see them, we'll see how this fits in the Elliott wave sequence. So can you see here how we start our Elliott wave sequence at the higher time frame resistance? We do this because we know that markets are random half the time, therefore we don't place an Elliott wave count on the markets all the time. We only do it in what we call in isolation. This is what we've developed in MTPredictor over the last 20 years. We look at the markets in isolation. So we draw a line in the sand at the higher time frame resistance. That's where we start our Elliott wave count. So in Elliott wave terms, the initial move off the high will be considered wave 1. The initial correction will be wave 2. We're then looking for the strongest move, which will be wave 3. A wave 4 correction, which is normally choppy and horrible. Then a wave 5 to then complete the sequence. And if I right mouse click down the bottom and do Elliott wave major, you can see that's exactly what the market did here. It went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 with the low right at our minimum wave 5 WPT. But can you see where our wave 3 trade setup unfolds? Our wave 3 trade setup unfolds as the wave 2 is completing. So it's designed to catch the end of the wave 2 to then, if I place the analysis on, to then trade the wave 3. So this is a lovely example, but you can see how it takes a nice big slice out of the wave 3 swing, which, as you can see in that completed 5-wave sequence, is the longest and strongest move in that particular wave sequence. So this is a great example of how the W3 wave 3 trade setup is designed to work. If we go out to the higher time frame, we can also get an idea of where we're anticipating support to come in, because if we go back to the last swing into that high, there's the high. This time we're using just our intermediate swings, which is our grey swings here. So this is the last swing to that high. So I'd right mouse click off this pivot low, do DP. This is an area of where potential support's anticipated. Remember, that would have also been on the chart in advance before the market got there. And that then caught the end of that wave 3 swing down and also the wave 5 low there. Because if I also do Elliott wave intermediate here, so we're on the higher time frame, therefore I'd use the intermediate degree. You can see that's our 5-wave sequence, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, with our W3 trade setup coming in down there. So let's go back to, whoops, didn't really mean to do that. I'll put that DP back on. I'll put that DP back on. Sorry about that. So if we now go back to the shorter time frame chart, the 15-minute, this was the one we're looking to trade off. You can see that there's our higher time frame support, comes in and catches that low as well. But the beauty of this W3 trade setup is, if I do the analysis on there, can you see how the trade setup was in between the higher time frame resistance there at the hourly DP and down into roughly the hourly DP support. So in other words, that was the next anticipated support zone. So that wave 3 trade setup down there, that short trade setup, fell in between the resistance and support very nicely indeed. So hopefully that's a good example of having a look at our W3 or wave 3 trade setup with quite frankly an absolutely beautiful example there. Whereas as we can see, I'll just put the Elliott wave patterns on and back again there. So as we can see, what we're designing to do, or what we're aiming to do with our W3 trade setup, is to catch the end of the wave 2, to then take a big chunk out of the wave 3 swing, which is normally the longest and strongest in a completed 5-wave sequence. And you can see that absolutely perfectly in this example, where we have the start of our Elliott wave sequence at the higher time frame resistance, wave 1, wave 2. The end of wave 2 is where our trade setup is identified. Short down in the strong wave 3, a choppy wave 4, down into wave 5 to complete the sequence. So a great example of our W3 trade setup that's unfolded on a 15-minute chart of oil using the higher time frame on the hourly chart.